ครับขอบคุณครับขอบคุณครับ Thank you very much and thanks to Abelian and all of you for joining us this morning. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to I would say our hometown, your hometown in particular. Kun Pracha from DEPA lives here in Phuket. My hometown is in Bangkok, although obviously I'm Thai from Thailand. So welcome all of you to our country in Thailand. Hope you have a great couple of days stay here. This session, as you know, is not just a crypto narrative. You've heard Duncan talk at length of how different opportunities will arise, how challenges from the post-quantum that we will see, So with DePIN, there are a lot of real changes that are coming. Both will be a matter of resiliency in terms of how infrastructure can become cheaper, faster, more accessible, and how we approach this will be so important both from the government perspective and the private sector perspective and the regulator perspective. So we have the three very superb qualified panelists here. We have 40 minutes for this session. There may be time for some question from the audience because I know typically we don't let you guys ask the question, but any of you in the audience, I noticed the name of the delegates are equally as good to be the speakers on the panels itself. So you can prepare your questions you want to ask the speakers. I may allow Kun Pracha and all the speakers, Musheer and Angelina, to say a little bit more about your work and how it linked to this DePIN and the way you've been working.
Okay, start with me, right? Okay. So actually I'm working with the DEPA as the Vice President of the DEPA to take care of the Southern District of Thailand. Some of you may not heard about DEPA yet. DEPA is the government agency. Our goal is to driving the digital economy in Thailand. The main focus is about how to bringing the technology to both of the private side to create the demand side of using the digital technology, and also the public side that is on the smart city projects that working with the many of the provincial in southern of Thailand to apply the technology in terms of their city management technology. And the other hand of that part is we also invest in the startup to create the supply side to have the Thai digital provider to provide the technology that is suitable for the need of their demand side in the Thailand. Yeah.
Angelina?
Okay. Oh. Hi. There we go. Slight technical. First off, I have to say this is amazing, and thank you very much, Abelian, for inviting us and for all of you who came out today to hear about this very, very topical topic that we're going to be talking about today. My background has been sort of an unusual one. I actually fell into the Securities and Futures Commission, and I started as a director of enforcement there, and then loved working on the markets side and moved into the markets division. And one of the things that I was asked to do was the entire Y2K plan. Now, for those of you who weren't born in Y2K, it was a very, very big threat at the time that during year 2000, when 1999 clicks over, everything would explode. Now, one can say, it didn't explode and we're still all here. But guess what? It's been almost 26 years at the rate we're going. And I have to say the entire world has now gone through probably one of the biggest changes in all of the history of the world in terms of the fastness of how computers, how blockchain, how tokenization, how digital assets are growing. And the biggest areas that are really, really growing are payments as well as technology, and it's just getting faster and faster and faster. So when this quantum threat came through, I just went, oh no, here we go again. Is this going to be another Y2K? Or is this going to be a real thing that could be a real threat? And if we don't prepare for it, what might happen might be disastrous. But some of the stuff that we got out of Y2K, we can use now. And I find it really interesting because the regulators are all going, ooh, we just had this huge multi-billion-dollar Upbit hack. And I said, well, did you talk to the other regulators? And they're like, well, what power do we use to talk amongst ourselves? And I said, well, you know what? You have enforcement divisions in all the regulators from the United States SEC to Hong Kong SFC. You can pick up the phone. But what rule do you use? And I'm like, the rule of common sense, that if something bad like Upbit has happened, for those of you who don't know about it, it was a $1 billion hack, and the funds were moving all over the place. And if regulators worked together, maybe they could have stopped some of the funding getting out. But it tells you that regulators are not ready to take on a huge problem. And when I explained to them when the planes hit Cantor Fitzgerald's offices that day and the entire financial infrastructure of the United States was affected, we just all went into action and started calling each other, working with each other, putting out press releases, coming out together to work together to help the US. And that's what this morning call needs to be with the quantum threat, where regulators need to work together, where consultants, companies, Abelian coming up with solutions need to work together and just be ready, because nobody's documented the system since Y2K. Now we have millions of payment systems built on top of payment systems, built on top of payment systems. So you just need one down here that goes wrong, and then everything else will get affected. And this is what I said at SSF, the Singapore Fintech Week. And I said the same thing, and they said, oh, we should write this down and we should tell the governments. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. So Milken and Singapore, the regulators there, are actually putting together a report to sort of start talking about this and to document these financial systems. Because you've got SWIFT on the bottom, but how many things are built on top of it? How many payment systems are built on top of it? So we need to start studying this, not just because of the quantum threat, but because of other threats that can happen, from hacks to the next whatever. And there needs to be controls in place that you can pick up the phone with Abu Dhabi, you can pick up the phone with the Thai regulators to actually think about this. So this is what I was asking Abelian, how can consultants like us, Musheer and I, help in terms of getting governments to work together? And that's partially by talking about it, by putting reports together that people need to think about, coordinating and cooperating in contingency planning again.
I totally understand what you're saying there. Having been a regulator myself at the Stock Exchange of Thailand, working with the Thai SEC and at the Ministry of Commerce, we've seen, people who try to host blockchain conferences in Thailand and crypto conferences or digital asset conferences. Less than a decade ago, organizers were arrested for organizing such conferences, and luckily, less than 10 years on, we're now sitting here today, already talking in a lot of deep technology issues that will be driving potentially one of the national competitiveness and strengths of that. This could be a hub for the region.
How
Musheer,
many changes?
Yes, exactly. Musheer, you've worked in Dubai, you've worked with Hong Kong SFC there, like Angelina, coming similar background. Share with us your thoughts.
Thanks, Kunprim, and thank you to Abelian, Alison, Duncan, and Danny for having me today. My background is a mix of capital markets and fintech. Spent the first decade trading in futures in the US markets. It was an interesting time, and I know we're talking about transitions, but that was a transition where there was a change in behavior. I came in as an electronic trader when pit traders were being phased out in Chicago, right, in Eurodollar futures, and then you started seeing algos kicking in, which is a whole different world for most people, and then you got in more vulnerabilities when algos were being brought in. For the last decade, I've been in Hong Kong. I'm a co-founder and the inaugural general manager of the Fintech Association in Hong Kong. I started FinStep Asia 6 years ago, primarily focusing on venture building and policy advisory. We've done a lot of work with multilateral bodies ranging from Asian Development Bank to the Alliance for Financial Inclusion, as also with a bunch of other government regulators in Asia. Our recent work, which is going to be more relevant to today's topic, has been looking at inclusive digital infrastructure in South Asia, which was a diagnostic assessment of that. Now, blockchain and DePIN could be a solution for some of it and may not be a solution for some of it, right? So I'm looking forward to speaking more on the conversation. Prim has prepared some questions for us as well to answer that. As an add-on, one of the other things that I'll also touch upon is I was an external consultant for the BIS Innovation Hub in Hong Kong, where we looked at tokenization of carbon credits appended to tokenized green bonds. This was a project in 2022, and now we're seeing the fruition of that kicking in, where there's a lot of IoT and potential elements that you could say are DePIN related. So thank you for having us. I'm looking forward to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Musheer. So with the government agency, the Digital Economy Promotion Agency, DEPA, Kun Pracha, I know that we all here in Phuket, so just to touch on a hot topic in Phuket, one of which they want to elect their own governor or the mayor of Phuket, to have their own direct election. And also, as some of you may notice, if you've been a tourist here the last 1 or 2 days, the public infrastructure here is slightly I would say, not catching up with the number of tourists we have here, the number of big conferences we're going to have here. Thailand will play host to the World Bank and IMF annual meeting next year in October in Bangkok. However, Phuket will also play a key role in being a co-host of some of the side events, the private investment related to that. And of course, there'll be a big topic discussed about blockchain, about the quantum, AI, various other deep technology. And interestingly, so far, we have some of the biggest names from those guys coming. Jeff Bezos has confirmed, Elon Musk has confirmed to come to Thailand next year, and also Jensen Huang, who was also recently here in Bangkok a couple of months ago. Now, DEPA, your agency, has some big plans on the smart city for Phuket, and how, maybe share with us some of your thoughts, your plan, how DePIN could play a role in applying some of this, some of your strategy for the Phuket smart city.
Okay, so I give you more about background of the Phuket Smart City. Phuket Smart City is actually the first city in Thailand that the government have the policy to drive the Phuket to develop the smart city. Actually, we start in the same year as the Chiang Mai, right, to be right. The example case of the city that bringing the concept of using the digital technology in terms of the city management. With the Phuket, we have a goal to develop the smart city. We try to building the sustainability tourism in Phuket. Because as you can see right now, when the tourism is grow, it brings more problem because of our infrastructure cannot develop fast enough to related in terms of the increasing of the number of tourists. And with the policy, the Phuket try to have to bring more technology in. We actually have the 7 area of to develop the smart city. First is all the smart environmental. We are trying to building the technology to in terms of take care of our environmental. The main problem of Phuket in terms of environment is about the water, because we always have the problem with the water. When we go to the rainy season, we facing with the flood. When we go to the non-raining season, we have lacking of the shortage of the water, and about the releasing of the pollution in the water. And the second thing is about the smart living. Smart living in Phuket is very important because of the, in terms of the smart living, is half of them is about the safety. Yeah, because of the tourism industry, they go, they need you want to be stay and travel in the city is very safe, right? So that's why the smart safety is the more advanced in terms of development of the smart city in Phuket. And the other half of the smart living is about the healthcare. So we are trying how to bring the technology to care about the people that are living in Phuket. Not only the local people, that's also the tourists or the expats that are working here. And the third is about the smart governance. The smart governance is we are trying to have more the e-service, to contact and dealing with the government. And what we are currently developing right now, we are trying to develop the city data platform, because when we start the smart city projects, maybe 7 years ago, we start with the IoT technology. to putting more sensors, CCTV camera to the city. And after that, we found that we got a lot of data back. So that's why we are trying to build the Phuket City Data Platform. A couple years before, we already have the City Data Platform that belong to municipality or some of the agency, but it's kind of the pillar. And then Phuket want to connect, right, each data to be the centralized. When the governor or the mayor want to see the situation of the Phuket, they can like go to the City Data Platform of the Phuket. And the other thing is about the smart economy. The smart economy, we are trying to have the smart tourism, like to have like the technology innovation that can like make the tourists that travel in Phuket is more easily. And in the other hand, we also like need more digital technology company, startup company to like relocate and start their office here in Phuket. We want like to provide you the good atmosphere to working and stay beside the beach. This is another our idea to driving the smart economy, and we also focusing on the smart mobility. Phuket, you will deal with the traffic jam right now, but what we are trying to do, we want to like promote more in terms of the public transportation. We start to use the smart bus, the EV car that we are bringing into the option of to using the public transportation that will help the tourists that can travel around Phuket is more easier. And the lastly is on the smart people that we are working very closely with the school in Phuket to like educate them about the coding technology to the student. DEPA have the huge projects where we call the Coding Thailand that will like encourage and have the challenge stage for the student that they can like build the projects and working together. Related to our topic, the DePIN, I maybe like mentioned before start begin that on the smart city we are not like using the distributed platform yet. We are still like centralized, but right now we are implement the projects called Phuket Eye. Phuket Eye is about to connect all of the CCTV system that belong to each municipality, and the police department will deploy more CCTV in Phuket to make the Phuket more safety. But in that project that we are talking with the private sector, we call that the Phuket Eye Plus. So we want to bring in the CCTV camera of each hotel, restaurant that can able to connect to the centralized, and then that means that the private property can like dedicate their own CCTV camera and helping the public to take care of the safety. From my research, I think this kind of projects that may be working well in terms of using the DePIN infrastructure. And the other project is on the healthcare system. Because of the congestion into the hospital, we're bringing the telemedicine technology with the 5G to we're setting up the digital health post. And then when you are the patient on you don't need to go to the main hospital. You can like stop by your near digital health post, and then you can like go there, and then you can like see the doctor by using the telemedicine and also with the many of the IoT medical device. This is the project that we are currently working right now.
Right. And this next question may be both for Musheer and for Angelina. Following on from that, what Kun Pracha was saying about smart city and all these exciting projects. As you both are consultants to both, I'm sure, public and private sector, and from your experiences working for both kind of various sectors, how do you see this as an opportunity that DePIN, can be the tools that you think governments and also private sector can leverage off and work together, collaborate together? What advices would you give if you're a consultant to DEPA or even to governments, agencies, or to various private sector on how they should collaborate?
Musheer and I, and jump in, Musheer and I both worked on a very big project. So we're both founding members of a group called Web3 Harbor, because we want to make Hong Kong a Web3 harbor for decentralization and bringing Hong Kong forward in terms of every part from the blockchain to Web3. And what we did was a number of us who are in private industry worked together, came together to document where Hong Kong is right now, and then where we would like to see and where we think there are possibilities that public and private can work together. And the report is actually available if you get a chance to look on the Web3 Harbor website. And it gives a number of recommendations to the Securities and Futures Commission, to the Hong Kong government. And we're slowly building that out. And I know Musheer's been really active in terms of building the next phase of our report out. And some of the recommendations have been to work on new projects that would actually connect people together. We've got, I forgot all the projects. There's so many of them. Do you want to go through the different projects really quickly, or yeah, I can't remember them all right now. I just didn't bring my report. But basically, it's a private and public working together with the SFC, with the Hong Kong government, and coming together with real use cases that will actually help Hong Kong move into decentralization, as well as, and this is where DePIN would really come in place. So, getting your people in Thailand, getting your businesses working together to come up with ideas that would make things more efficient and decentralized. If something falls over when you have decentralized, you have another decentralized entity that will take over that. So you never have one point of failure. And I think this is one of the things that really takes forward, and it increases the speed of how transactions can be done. Part of which is like for the ID system in Hong Kong. Much faster to get your identification cards and things like that now. And government is thinking about ways to make things more efficient. So I would really strongly suggest that if you can get your industry working together, some of your companies, especially in Phuket, it doesn't need to be big, but just start talking of where are areas that we can actually make more efficient and where can we implement DePIN. I think that will really, really help because it helped for us in Hong Kong. So, over to you, Musheer.
Thanks. Touching on a few things, right? And I want to touch on how a lot of us in the blockchain industry, when we are asked why, should blockchain be used for an application, especially when it comes to public space, quite often the response is why not, right? Which I think does not serve the purpose because it's not helping governments and other corporates understand the use cases of blockchain that may exist. And that's a very important element when it comes to DePIN as well. Do you really need decentralized physical infrastructure? In certain instances, yes. In certain instances, no. And the more you can articulate why there is more need of DePIN or decentralization broadly, the better the implementation. In certain instances, I think, especially in emerging markets, you have the opportunity to leapfrog where you may not have had a smart city, you may not have had major technical infrastructure or databases, etc. Using blockchain as your core layer for that can help you leapfrog from having gone from largely centralized ecosystem. That's number one. Number two, in terms of application that the governments can consider, especially looking at what Pracha was talking about with regards to the different elements of DEPA. One which is very standard, which everyone likes to talk about in DePIN, is decentralized databases, right? Now, Filecoin being one of the oldest one was essentially thinking of doing that, right? If you have decentralized file sharing, but decentralized data centers, I think is going to be very important because managing data centers is very expensive. Plus, also, the amount of energy consumption and carbon impact it has is also quite significant. Hence, finding the right way to do it would be very useful. As an extension, decentralized energy as well, right? It can also be looked at for a variety of use cases. Number two is I wanted to touch upon the governments and public-private partnership to understand is privacy concerns, right? So when you look at CBDCs, one of the biggest pushback you've had, including in the United States as well as in Europe, was, the government can see everything is that transactions that you do. Cash has that privacy element for me. And most people aren't doing illegal things, right? Yes, there is a percentage of people who are doing illegal and unlawful things, but most people aren't. But they like their privacy so that they can preserve it. So when Duncan was talking about the way that Abelian is setting up for having specific privacy elements, which are in a legal way when you set up, but certain elements are, okay, here is a transaction, but you don't know who did the transaction, but if there is a lawful request, you could then open that up, right? And I think that's something similar when we talk about the CCTVs here. Great, right? A lot of people come to party in Phuket and they may not want that to get leaked somewhere online through a hack, which may not be, and I'm talking about just general partying. And so if you can have that balance where the recordings are available, but only on demand with a, say, a legal notice or a lawful request, that is very important for building a governance around DePIN. You can't just bring everything on board. The last thing I'll speak about is, Kun spoke about climate. Climate is a major challenge, not just here in Southeast Asia, but globally, right? So the project we worked on, as I mentioned with the BIS Innovation Hub, was the use of IoT sensors to track carbon emission. But that is one use case. But IoT sensors can generally be used for tracking climate changes and climate impact, and that can also be used for activating different reactions using smart contracts, right? So think of sprinklers, right? That Israel kind of drip sprinklers that Israel initiated 30, 40 years ago that changed a lot of agricultural use cases. In a similar way, if you can use for water supply, for water management, this is where DePIN can really work in a way that you have smart contracts layered for managing newer infrastructure, leveraging IoT. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Can I just say that with your smart city, as you think about this, try to get a group of people that are committed to working with you. You can take a look at our Web3 Harbor Blueprint. It started with a group of us that were very committed to helping the place we love, which is Hong Kong. And we came up with ideas where Web3 could be used, but we had to document everything first and then prioritize. So I'll send you a copy of that internet link, but it will give you some things that you can think about to drive your discussions that, hey, this is what's been done. You're not doing this for the first time, but you're finding new methods and new ways to make your city more smart. And you've got so many technologically savvy people, even at a lower cost than Hong Kong. So I think this is something that would be very useful for Phuket and for the upcoming events. So.
Thank you in advance.
Go. Let's do the strong human connection despite all the new technologies. That's what we're here today for, still meeting the real humans, the real connections. Having said that, on your part, in Thailand and also around the world, in this region in particular, there are main barriers to adopting the DePIN solutions at scale. Are you seeing this barriers of adopting new technologies, blockchain, especially one with decentralized frameworks, coming from government background? And sometimes, what do you think, how to overcome this? What sort of collaboration you're looking for? What sort of partnerships you're looking for?
Yeah, actually the challenging of to bring the DePIN technology or distributed technology, decentralized, into the government projects is quite challenged because of the belief of the government before everything is centralized, right? And then the understanding in terms of the technology is not much in terms of the people who run the city right now. But if we can show them what the advantage that they can get from their bringing or apply the new technology, and I think that might be the thing that we can change and then apply the new technology. Actually, when we start the Phuket Smart City projects, one thing that we are trying to do, we want to bringing our pain point and the problem and the challenging of the Phuket, and then we want to seeking the new technology to solving our problem. So Phuket can open to be the sandbox that you can be doing the small to do some of the kind of the proof of concept projects together. Actually, you can working with DEPA, and also we have the university here, the Prinn Panitchpakdi University. We can start running the projects together and then prove of the concept to the city mayor or the city the Phuket governor that to use this kind of technology that can make small benefits to the city. I think that can be the thing that we are able to do together. And then actually we are welcome all the technology provider that can be coming to discuss. because of starting from we running the smart city projects, we have like cooperate with the Japan from technology company and also from China, from US company, and then working together for all the way down.
Thank you. Do you want to add on that, Angelina, on what do you think is which DePIN models that you think will be great to adopt across sectors and would apply on this sort of concept?
Anything that
Healthcare.
takes a lot of technology and a lot of processing that needs to be broken down and is costly right now can probably be replaced at some point. And I think it's just a matter of time when people start thinking about how do we simplify our operations in cities, what's taking up lines, for example, tax information, things that you need to process will probably be better in decentralization, but of course security is the big issue. And some of the ideas that we came up, I was trying to get the report up, but some of the ideas that we came up with in Hong Kong were to make the system, of course, simpler. And they were old world systems that were put into place that now we would like to upgrade. And that's the areas that I think we focused on too. And then we tried to find web superpowers that the government could actually use to make things that we have the powers out there, we just need to use them. And part of it is documenting it and having a plan and talking with the market about it. If you do it by yourself in government, nobody's going to implement it. But if you make the private sector work with you, and they're going to want to because they love Thailand. And remember the old saying, Thai rack Thai? Thai love Thai. Thai love Thailand, I believe. My accent is really bad. But
Very good accent.
Thailand loves Thailand. This is the time to get your people to love Thailand and work together. So that's something that you can possibly regenerate too. I really like that saying because it makes people work together.
I think we all love Thailand, and
We all do.
Here loving the weather as well. Building on what Angelina said, right? So from the Web3 superpowers, etc., a lot of focus was on capital markets, and we are seeing models that are coming up which are looking at decentralization. You've seen a major change in capital markets in the US with NASDAQ, BlackRock, others looking at various ways of tokenization, which then are operating on decentralized infrastructure. Now, specifically when you come to DePIN, which is more on the physical infrastructure perspective, a couple of things that are going to be very critical for implementation is governance, meaning how are you going to implement, what blockchains are you going to use, what is going to be the interoperability between the different blockchains, and what are the legalities around it, right? We're still struggling in the real world asset tokenization world, which somewhat is related where legalities, you could get a property on the token and you can probably sell that token with rights to the property, but that transfer legally needs to be entrenched by law, which is very challenging. There are very few jurisdictions which have that. So in a similar way, with DePIN, it becomes very important that if there are any challenges, how do you deal with it? What is the governance around it? So education, Khun, I think is a very important element that you mentioned, just for people to understand how this works, both for private parties, but also for public parties. Secondly, I feel the other challenge that we're going to face is with relation to attacks, or if depending on the consensus mechanism of the blockchain that's being used, there could be ways that gets hacked and there's full control that goes away. Centralization comes with some strengths as well, where if you have the right protection, then your access is safe, but control doesn't necessarily go away, right? Access could go, it could be DDoS, etc. On the other side, yesterday, I think a lot of us have experienced the Cloudflare going down, including checking the website to check when the internet is down. Downward detector was also down because it was on Cloudflare. A few weeks back, it was AWS that was down. So you're starting to see a lot of online infrastructure which are critical, serving 10, 20, 30% of the internet, going down due to bugs, right? Cloudflare was a very simple bug when they were doing system upgrades, which boggles your mind that something with that much control did not do a simple check. This has happened in the trading world before with a company called Knight Capital. I wouldn't go into it. They didn't do the system upgrade properly, which led to billions of dollars lost, hundreds of billions of dollars lost in the European markets. But long story short, I think technology, we are getting there, but the governance around it is going to be very important. And with DePIN, you need to look at it as a fail-safe. In a lot of instances, you could have your major data centers, etc. But if everything goes offline or there's an attack on the main infrastructure for whatever reason, or there's a crash, you do need the backups, right? If this is your emergency generator or your electric lamp that people used to have a lot more of in the olden days, when I was brought up in the days of multiple energy cuts in India, and candles were very normal, as were electric lamps. I haven't experienced that for 10 years or more, both in India and in Hong Kong. But there are things that may happen which we need to look back on, and DePIN could be that backup and support for failures in the largely online-only world. So yeah, I'll stop there.
Can I just say that decentralization is great for operations, but there's no such thing as decentralization of responsibilities. And ultimately, when AWS fell over, I mean, honestly, how many people are actually reliant on AWS, Amazon Web Services, for those of you who don't know. But basically, my old firm, which is a digital asset exchange, was one of the largest ones on AWS. And when they went down, millions of people lost money. And it was us that was responsible for making sure that we made good for all our exchange members. So all of this decentralization is the next phase, but we definitely need to have the responsibility there, and those people making the decisions to go into decentralization need to know what they're going into. You cannot delegate that. And I think this is something that people need to remember, and regulators will remember, because they're the ones that will come after you, as well as government officials. So I think the next step is definitely DePIN, and the next step will be to make things more efficient. But we just have to remember the responsibilities and making sure that people document everything properly, that there are controls in place, and that we constantly are upgrading. Because people fall asleep at the wheel. Once they've got it done, they declare victory, and then they fall asleep at the wheel. And then when something really bad happens, they're like, oh, gee, I didn't know that one was weak over there. You constantly have to be checking everything when everything's decentralized. So don't let a false sense of security happen.
Okay, add something. Actually, I'm thinking about one project in the smart city that we are running right now is the CCTV system, but right now it's not really decentralized, because of in Phuket itself we have like 19 municipalities that is investing in to develop the CCTV system, and each municipality they have their own cloud, their own server, their own CCTV system, and with the projects that the provincial try to connect everything, and we are still thinking that that's gonna be like duplicate of the server, right? In terms of the provincial will create another data center and then connect all of the CCTV video inside. And if we able to run distributed, like each municipality have their own cloud system or server, and then how can we like connect this all and then don't make it like a single point of failure and anyone when we got any attack of the cyber? Yeah.
Once this system is put into place, it will cut down in terms of your caseloads, because you'll have the proof in terms of your cameras. Your police will find it easier. People will feel safer. So overall, you need to look at those benefits. But of course, the controls need to be in place, because you shouldn't be an authoritarian police state type of thing.
So thank you so much. As time is running out, maybe leave some final thoughts for some of the participants here on, as you see the AI and quantum technologies mature, how would they complement the DePIN in developing a secure intelligence world for us going forward?
In terms of the city management in Phuket right now, we starting to use the AI technology in our smart city projects. We are bringing about to manage the traffic management that we are huge problem right now. We are trying to have the AI traffic management, and with the coming of the AI, I think, and with the cyber security, I think DePIN might becoming more important. And another thing that we are talking about is to educate the people, both of the citizen or our child student, that to understand more in terms of technology, and then we might have some kind of activity that will bringing the citizen and also the student that can coming to the city and understand what we are currently developing.
I think all of us just need to be patient, because we're seeing so many changes now with so many governments putting in new methods of tracking people, as well as for protection. I mean, part of it is protection. And the cases hopefully will be solved more because there'll be more cameras and things like that. But yeah, we're moving to more tracking and more governmental parenting, shall we say. So it's important that industry, which means all of you here and all of us here, have to help government. They cannot do this themselves. And they need to be reminded from time to time in terms of people are allowed to have some privacy. And I think that's where industry really needs to give feedback to governments. And all of us here who actually work with governments or are in this industry need to really volunteer with their advice, because without that, governments won't be able to move forward, or will move forward much more slowly. And I think people need to point out issues before they happen. So please get involved, and please do keep track of what's going on, and just keep involved and informed. That's the one thing I would say.
I know we're running out of time, and to keep Alison happy, I'll keep it very short. Two things on the AI side. Look at agentic AI as a layer on top of smart contracts. Smart contracts are restricted in what they can do. It's very code-based, hard-coded in. With agentic AI, you could allow it to take decisions. For example, I mentioned the agriculture use case, but it could be for weather tracking, taking actions based on weather patterns, or even for when you're looking at traffic, etc. So that's one side. The other side is DePIN, but for sharing quantum, right? We are all talking about quantum resistance, but very few people talking about the power of quantum computing, which can solve 12,000x of what you can do with computers right now, which is what Google did recently with their supercomputer or quantum computer. So, but quantum computing needs a lot of compute and a lot of hard infrastructure support and energy. So with DePIN, you could probably try to share that in smaller spaces for different projects, especially for SMEs, manufacturing, etc. That could be the power that could be deployed if DePIN can pair up with quantum. And I'll stop with that. Thank you.
Much. I think we all agree that DePIN is not competing with governments nor enterprises. It's complementing them. And quantum risk are long term, but so are as you build infrastructure, as life cycles are very long term as well. And I'm sure we want to be planning this with a longer structural ways in order to survive the next computer paradigm. So good luck and thank you so much. Please give a round of applause to our panelists here.